Hello, my friend. Welcome to Daily English Podcast. Today, we're talking about something very simple, but very powerful. Reading. And not just reading for fun, but reading with purpose. Because how you read depends on why you are reading. If you're reading for exams like IELTS, TOEFL, or school tests, the approach is different. If you're reading for learning, growth, or pleasure, you take another path. So today, I'll guide you through both, step by step, simple, clear, practical. Let's begin with exams. When you read for exams, time is short. Every second matters. You don't have the luxury to enjoy every sentence. You must be smart, focused, and strategic. And the first rule is this: questions first. Before you even read the passage, look at the questions. Underline keywords. Notice dates, names, places, special terms, because this sets your brain into search mode. It's like wearing glasses with a filter. You already know what you're looking for. Imagine this: you're taking IELTS. The question says, according to the passage, what is the main reason polar bears are losing their habitat? Now your brain is already searching for the words main reason, polar bears, habitat. So when you skim the passage, those words pop out. You don't waste time on paragraphs about history or extra stories. You know where to focus. Strategy for exams, IELTS. Skim the questions quickly. Underline or circle the keywords. Scan the passage, not to understand everything, but to find where those keywords appear. Read those sections carefully for details. This simple process saves time, it prevents panic, and it gives you a clear direction, because in exams the goal is not to enjoy the reading. The goal is to answer correctly fast. Now let's switch. If you are reading for learning or pleasure, the goal is different. Here, you don't want to limit yourself. You want to feel the flow, hear the author's voice, and capture the whole message. So the first rule is the opposite. Article first. Don't rush to the questions. Don't break the flow. Just read. Imagine you're reading an article about climate change. If you start with questions like, which year did the ice caps begin melting? You might only notice the numbers. But if you read freely first, you'll understand the big picture, why it matters, how people are affected, what solutions exist. Strategy for learning. Read once without stopping, just to feel the big idea. Then go back. Look for details. Take notes. Highlight or answer questions after. This builds comprehension. It grows your vocabulary naturally, and it makes learning deeper. So remember, exams, we should think about questions first. Learning, we should think about article first. Now let's add something important, no matter what kind of reading you do. A practical tip: skim first. Before deep reading, give yourself 2 minutes. Look at the title. Look at the subtitles. Look at the first sentence of each paragraph. This is not real reading yet. It's like checking the map before the journey. Imagine you're about to drive somewhere new. Would you just start the car and go blindly? No, you'd check the map first. The same with reading. Skimming helps your brain prepare. It tells you if the text is about science, history, daily life, or literature. So when you begin, you already have a path. Skim first, then read with purpose. And remember, always know why you're reading. Is it speed and accuracy? Then exam strategy. Is it depth and growth? Then learning strategy. Both are important. Both make you stronger. Now let's go deeper into the techniques that make reading truly effective. Highlighting, summarizing, context clues, patience, and confidence. Because reading is not just about the eyes. It's about the mind. It's about the heart. It's about training yourself to think, to focus, to imagine, and to remember. So stay with me, because as we keep going, you'll see reading in a whole new way, not as a boring school task, but as a key to confidence, exams, and growth. Now, my friend, let's talk about keywords. When you read, not every word is important. Some words carry the meaning, some words are just decoration. Your job is to find the signal words. In exams, these are usually names, dates, numbers, and repeated phrases. For example, if the question asks, "What year did the scientist publish his discovery?" You don't need the whole story. You only need to spot the year. So when you see in 1998, Dr. James discovered, boom, that's your answer. Tip: to remember, keywords are shortcuts to answers. But when you're reading for learning, keywords look different. They are not only numbers or names, they are main ideas, words the author repeats, concepts that hold the text together. If you read an article about motivation, and the author keeps repeating discipline, habits, small steps, you know these are the backbone of the message. Tip to remember: keywords show you the bones of meaning, so whether you read for exams or for growth, train your eyes. Don't highlight the whole paragraph. Highlight smart. Now let's talk about summarizing. This step is simple but powerful. After reading, pause. Don't close the book immediately. Don't rush away. Ask yourself, what did I just read? Even 1 or 2 sentences is enough. Say it in your own words, or write it in a notebook. This locks knowledge into memory, because when you explain in your own words, you prove to yourself that you understand. Tip to remember: your own words make learning stick. It doesn't matter if your grammar is perfect. It doesn't matter if your explanation is short. The goal is memory, and memory is built by retrieving knowledge, not just receiving it. Next, let's talk about context clues. When you see a new word, don't panic. Don't run to the dictionary. Immediately, look at the sentence. Look at the words before and after. Ask yourself, does this sound positive or negative? Is it describing an action, a feeling, or a thing? Most of the time, you can guess. For example, she slammed the door angrily. Maybe you don't know slammed, but you see door and angrily. So you guess, it must mean closing the door hard. That's enough for now. Later, after finishing the page, you can check the dictionary. Tip to remember: guess first, check later. This way, you protect the flow. Because reading is like music. If you stop too often, you lose the rhythm. Now let's talk about skimming and scanning. They sound similar, but they're different. Skimming is for the big picture. You move your eyes quickly just to know what the text is about. Title, subtitles, first sentences. That's enough. Scanning is for details. You don't read everything. You search for one piece of information. Imagine this. You want to find out what year an event happened. You don't care about the story. You only look for numbers. That's scanning. Skim for overview. Scan for detail. Together, they save time. Together, they give balance. Now let's bring in something deeper. Purpose. Reading without purpose is like driving without direction. You move, but you don't know where you're going. So before you read, ask, why am I reading this? If the answer is to pass my exam, your eyes will look for details. If the answer is to improve my English, your eyes will look for vocabulary and patterns. If the answer is to enjoy, your eyes will relax and follow the story. Tip to remember: your purpose decides what your brain notices. And when you know your purpose, reading becomes lighter. It feels less like a burden and more like a journey. Finally, let's talk about confidence. So many learners feel afraid when they see long texts, too many words, too many new phrases. But remember this: you don't need to understand everything. You only need to understand enough. Each page you finish is proof that you can grow. Each text you complete builds trust in yourself. Tip to remember: progress is stronger than perfection, so don't stop because you missed one word. Don't quit because the sentence felt hard. Keep going, keep breathing, keep turning the page, because every time you finish a text, you are stronger than before. My friend, these are the foundations. Questions first for exams. Article first for learning. Skim first. Scan for details. Highlight smart. Summarize in your own words. Guess new words from context. Read with purpose. Build confidence step by step. If you carry these habits, reading will never feel like punishment again. It will feel like growth. It will feel like possibility. It will feel like freedom. Now let's slow down and talk about something every reader struggles with: patience. Because sometimes when you read, the meaning does not appear at once. You reach the first paragraph, and it feels confusing. You meet a new idea, and it feels heavy. And in that moment, the temptation is to stop, to give up, to say, "This is too hard." But here is the truth. If you wait, if you keep moving, if you trust the process, the meaning usually appears. Tip to remember: patience reveals meaning. Think of it like a puzzle. At first, one piece doesn't make sense. But when you place more pieces together, the full picture shows. Reading is the same. So don't panic if the first paragraph feels cloudy. Keep turning the page. Clarity will come. Now, let's move to another powerful gift of reading: focus. In today's world, distractions are everywhere. Phones, messages, notifications. Each one pulls your attention away. But when you sit with a page and give it your full attention, you are training concentration, and concentration is rare, but it is also powerful. Tip to remember: focus is a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it grows. At first, maybe you can only read for 5 minutes before your mind wanders. That's okay. Stay with it. Soon, 5 minutes becomes 10. 10 becomes 20. And slowly, your brain adapts. Even 10 minutes of deep, focused reading is more valuable than 1 hour of distracted reading, because quality beats quantity. So treat each page as practice. Each session is like exercise in the gym, but this time you are training your mind, and a trained mind is a superpower. Let's add another dimension: imagination. Every time you read, your mind paints pictures. The words are seeds, and your brain is the garden. When you see the line "a quiet street at night," you don't just see letters. You feel the silence. You hear the night. You imagine the stars above. Tip to remember: words create images, and images create memory. This is why reading makes learning stronger. Because when you imagine, you remember. It's not just information anymore. It becomes an experience inside you. So don't read only with your eyes. Read with your mind. Let the words come alive. Now let's step into something even deeper: empathy. When you read a story, you step into another life. You feel what the character feels. You carry their fears. You share their hopes. Tip to remember: reading teaches the heart as much as the mind, and this empathy spreads beyond books. It shows up in your relationships, in your conversations, at work. Because when you practice feeling another perspective in stories, you become kinder in life. A good reader becomes a better human. Reading also trains your mind to solve problems. Because so many texts present challenges: a mystery to understand, a conflict to resolve, a question to answer. When you follow a story, you predict what happens next. You test ideas in your mind. You connect clues. Tip to remember: every problem in a book is practice for real life. So the next time you face a challenge outside of reading, remember how you solved puzzles inside the text, step by step, idea by idea. You can do the same in your own life. And now, let's combine all of this: patience, focus, imagination, empathy, problem solving. Do you see the pattern? Reading is no longer just about understanding words. It is training for the whole person. for the mind, for the heart, for life itself. So each time you pick up a page, remember, you are not only practicing English, you are practicing who you become. Now, my friend, let's talk about one of the most beautiful things that reading gives you. Curiosity. Every page is a door. Every sentence is a question. What happens next? Why did this happen? What does this word mean? What is the writer really trying to say? This natural curiosity is fuel. It keeps your brain alive. It pushes you to keep turning pages. It makes reading exciting instead of heavy. Tip to remember, curiosity is the engine of real learning. And here's the best part. The more curious you become in reading, the more curious you become in life. You start asking questions outside the book. You start exploring new ideas. You start opening more doors in your own future. So never kill that spark. If a word confuses, you wonder about it. If a character makes a choice, question it. If an author shares an idea, test it. Curiosity keeps you learning forever. Now let's talk about something every learner wants. Vocabulary growth. So many people ask, how do I remember new words? How do I expand my vocabulary fast? Answer is simple. Read more. Because when you read, words appear again and again, not in isolation, not in a list, but alive. Inside real sentences, real stories, real meaning. Imagine this. You read the word resilient. First time, maybe you don't know it, but you see the context. She stayed resilient after failure. You guess it means strong. Then, a week later, you see it again. The plant was resilient and grew back. Now you feel the meaning more clearly, and soon, resilient is no longer just a dictionary word. It is a friend. It belongs to you. Tip to remember, context is your best teacher of vocabulary, and the more you trust context, the less you depend on the dictionary. Your brain becomes faster, more natural, more confident. Now let's add another layer. Memory. Your brain is like a muscle, and reading is exercise for that muscle. When you follow a story, you hold many details, the names of characters, the setting, the events, and you organize them in your mind. That is memory training. Every page is a workout. Tip to remember, the more you use memory, the stronger it becomes. And this doesn't stop with books. It helps in daily life, remembering directions, remembering faces, remembering conversations. So when you pick up a book, know this. You are not only reading words, you are sharpening your brain. You are keeping your memory alive. And now, let's talk about something every learner struggles with. Confidence. Long texts can feel scary. You see a full page of words and think, I can't do this. But here is the secret. You don't need to understand everything. You only need to understand enough. Every time you finish a text, no matter how small, your confidence grows. Because you prove to yourself, I can do this. Tip to remember, progress is more powerful than perfection. Confidence is not built in one day. It is built page by page, sentence by sentence, small success by small success. And soon, you stop being afraid of big texts. You trust yourself more. You believe in your ability to learn. And that belief, that inner trust, spreads beyond reading. It shows up in exams, in conversations, in life. So let's pause for a moment. Look at what you've built already. Curiosity, vocabulary, memory, confidence. Do you see how reading is not just an English skill? It is life training. It is shaping how you think, how you feel, how you grow. This is why I say, reading is not a burden. It is a gift you give to your future self. Now, my friend, let's talk about something we all need in this busy world. Peace. Reading is not only for knowledge, it is also for balance. Because when you open a book, your mind steps into a quiet place. You leave behind the noise. You leave behind the rush. And for a little while, it's just you and the page. Tip to remember. Reading gives your mind a quiet space. Even 10 minutes of reading can calm your heart. It can slow your breathing. It can give you rest after a long day. This is why I say, reading is not only study, it is self-care. It is mental health. It is a way of breathing again. Now let's talk about another gift, perspective. Because every book is a window. Every author gives you a different view. When you read history, you see the world through the eyes of people long ago. When you read science, you see the world through discovery. When you read stories, you see the world through imagination. Tip to remember. Every text is a window into another mind. The more windows you open, the wider your own world becomes. You learn to respect differences. You learn to understand cultures. You learn that truth is bigger than your own view. And this perspective makes you wiser. It makes you more flexible. It makes you more patient with others. Now, let's connect. Reading to something practical. Decision-making, because every page asks you to choose. What is important? What is not? What do you agree with? What do you question? This is critical thinking in action. You are not just taking words. You are testing them. You are comparing. You are choosing. Tip to remember. Reading trains you to separate noise from meaning, and in life, this skill protects you. It helps you make wiser choices. It saves you from being fooled by false information. It makes you a thinker, not just a follower. A thoughtful reader becomes a thoughtful human. And now, let's return to something that makes life beautiful. Creativity. Reading feeds imagination because every new idea you meet combines with your own ideas, and together, they create something fresh. When you read about history, maybe you connect it with today. When you read about science, maybe you imagine a new invention. When you read a story, maybe you picture your own version. Tip to remember, new input creates new output. Creativity is not magic. It is mixing old ideas into something new. And reading gives you more pieces to mix. So if you want to be creative, read more. Give your imagination the material it needs. Because the words you take in today may become the ideas you create tomorrow. Let's pause. Look at what reading is giving you now. Calm. Perspective. Clearer decisions. Creativity. It's not only about exams. It's not only about English. It's about shaping your mind for life. Each page is a quiet teacher, a guide, a mirror, a spark, and the more you read, the more you grow. Let's talk about resilience. Sometimes reading feels difficult. The words are new, the ideas are heavy, the sentences are long, and in that moment, you may want to stop, to close the book, to say, "This is too much for me." But if you stay, if you keep turning the page, if you push through the challenge, something powerful happens. You train yourself not to give up. Tip to remember, every difficult page you finish makes you stronger. And that strength is not only for books. It shows up in life. When you face problems, when you meet obstacles, when you feel confused, you remember, I have faced confusion before. I stayed. I finished. I can do the same here. That is resilience, and every book is practice for it. Now, let's shift to something softer. Gratitude. The more you read, the more you realize how much wisdom exists in the world. Words from people you never met. Stories from lives far away. Ideas that traveled across time just to reach you, and you hold them in your hands. Tip to remember, a grateful reader always finds joy in every page. When you approach reading with gratitude, you stop seeing it as homework. You start seeing it as a gift from the author, a gift for your growth, a gift for your future, And gratitude makes the journey lighter. It turns effort into joy. Now let's talk about discipline, because finishing a book is not always exciting. Some chapters feel slow. Some parts feel boring. Some moments test your patience. But when you stay until the end, you practice something bigger than reading. You practice finishing what you start. Tip to remember: discipline in reading becomes discipline in life. This discipline spreads everywhere. You complete tasks more easily. You stay with your studies longer. You build patience in your relationships. Every time you finish a text, you are training your willpower. You are proving to yourself, I don't quit in the middle. I keep going until the end. And that habit shapes your character. Now let's talk about one of my favorite gifts of reading: freedom. Because when you can read, you don't need to wait for someone to explain. You don't need a teacher beside you every time. You don't need someone to translate every idea. You can open the page yourself. You can learn directly from the source. You can explore any subject, any idea, any story on your own. Tip to remember: the more you read, the freer you become. This independence is power. It means you never have to stop learning. It means knowledge is always within reach. It means your growth is in your own hands. A person who reads is never truly stuck, because no matter what they want to learn, the path is waiting inside a book. So now, pause and notice: resilience, gratitude, discipline, freedom. Do you feel how each of these is bigger than English? Bigger than exams? They are life skills, and reading is the quiet trainer that builds them. So never underestimate a page. It may look simple, but it carries lessons that shape who you become. Let's talk about clarity. Sometimes life feels messy. Thoughts are everywhere. Feelings are confusing. Your mind feels like a storm. But then, you read one line, one sentence, one idea, and suddenly it feels like a light turning on in a dark room. Everything makes sense. The storm becomes calm. Tip to remember: clarity often comes from the right words at the right time. This clarity is not only about language, it is about life. Sometimes reading helps you understand your own feelings. Sometimes it helps you see your goals more clearly. Sometimes it helps you decide your next step. That is the quiet magic of words. They organize your mind. They bring order to chaos. Now let's talk about something powerful: critical thinking. Not every text is correct. Not every article is true. Not every opinion is wise. So when you read, don't just accept everything. Question it. Test it. Compare it. Tip to remember: critical thinking is the shield that protects your mind. Ask yourself, do I agree with this? Why or why not? Is the evidence strong? What do other sources say? This habit makes you stronger not only as a reader, but as a thinker. It saves you from lies. It saves you from blind belief. It saves you from being manipulated, because a sharp reader becomes a sharp mind. Now let's move to the heart. Emotional balance. Reading is not only for the brain, it is also for the heart. When you read about someone's struggle, you feel less alone. When you read about someone's victory, you feel inspired. When you read about sadness, you understand your own sadness better. When you read about joy, you share in that joy. Tip to remember: books can be quiet teachers of the heart. Sometimes a page gives comfort. Sometimes it gives strength. Sometimes it gives courage. And slowly, through stories, you learn how to carry your own emotions with more peace. Now let's bring everything together. Think about what reading has given you: patience, focus, imagination, empathy, problem-solving, curiosity, vocabulary, memory, confidence, calm, perspective, decision-making, creativity, resilience, gratitude, discipline, freedom, clarity, critical thinking, emotional balance. Do you see it? Reading is not just a skill. It is a complete training for life. Every page is practice. Every story is a lesson. Every article is a teacher. So here's what I want you to carry with you. If you are reading for exams, start with the questions. Skim them. Underline keywords. Scan the passage for answers. Be smart. Be quick. Be accurate. If you are reading for learning or pleasure, start with the article. Read freely first. Feel the flow. Catch the big picture. Then return for details. Let vocabulary grow naturally. Let comprehension deepen. For both, skim before you dive. Look at titles, subtitles, first sentences. Read with purpose. Highlight smart. Summarize in your own words. Guess new words from context. And remember, exam, questions first. Learning, article first. Simple, clear, effective. My friend, each time you read, you are not only learning English, you are building yourself, you are shaping your mind, you are training your heart. Books are not just paper, they are doors, and every time you open one, you open a new part of yourself. So keep reading, keep growing, keep moving forward. One page, one lesson, one day at a time. And as you go, carry this truth inside you. You are capable. You are stronger than you think. You are growing every day. Your journey has only just begun. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for giving your time, your heart, your ears. If today's words touched you, don't keep them only for yourself. Share them with someone who also needs encouragement. And if you want to keep learning with me, remember to subscribe, so you never miss the next lesson, the next story, the next spark for your growth. Together, step by step, we will keep building your English, and we will keep building your confidence. Thank you for listening, my friend. Remember this truth: the more you learn, the more you grow. If this podcast helped you, please like, subscribe, and share it with other learners. See you in the next podcast. Before you go, tell me in the comments, do you usually read for exams, for learning, or just for pleasure?